Yes, I want to start. Hello, everyone. I think we're on. Welcome to Saturday night. Welcome to Saturday night, everyone. Thanks for being here. Getting things started up here. See you in 3 minutes. Okay, I'm almost ready. Okay. All right, you guys are live.
Major.
Okay, we should be live. I think everything's
good.
on. I think everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and there's no echo.
Are the lights lighting and the sound sounding?
Yes.
And the mic's micing?
Echo.
How's it sound out there, everybody? Hey, Katoom. Hey, everybody in YouTube land. It's Saturday Night Live.
I've been enjoying your stuff, Katoon. You go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, me too, bro.
Yeah, we need to get him. We need to get him in here and
Yeah, it'd be fun to
dropping
fly
some
onto
beats.
Turtle Island.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, dropping some beats. As we've always said, we've always got room for guests, and if anyone's interested in joining us, you should let us know on Patreon. It's inside the chat there. It's free. I'm just saying that's a great place to let us know. And we're always
It's
looking
really
for
fun.
Yeah, we got a nice little ship here. We got buttons, and here's some knobs over here. And
I've got
The
some
levers
levers.
still, right? Okay, you got the levers.
I got the levers.
Also,
I
got
was
the
supposed to
levers.
bring the levers this
funnels.
time.
I thought you were funnels today. Funnels.
I've got the funnels and levers, you guys.
All right.
yeah, I got
Instead
the
of head
gear
and
shift
shoulders, I have funnel
and the steering
levers.
wheel. I'm really digging the steering wheel. It's a captain's wheel. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. It's got a big old octopus in the middle of it, and the octopus is gripping the spokes of the wheel. And it actually does nothing. Brad actually steers, but it makes me feel good. And it's got a little plastic horn right here. You hear that? That's great. Makes me feel like I'm driving the car. Reminding me of the,
Clown cars all the way.
I think probably one of the most beautiful analogies of the psyche is Cannonball Run 2, starring Tony Danza, a chimp, Don Knotts, and Tim Conway. And Don Knotts and Tim Conway are the police officers, and they're pulling over this vehicle that's driven by an orangutan. Sorry, I said chimp. And the orangutan is dressed like a chauffeur. And, of course, Don Knotts and Tim Conway, they start hassling the chauffeur, thinking that he's driving, because it sure looks like he's driving, because he's outside the car. Meanwhile, the back seat is the actual steering wheel. And I'm pretty sure that it was Tony Danza that was driving that. I think Mel Tillis might have been in the back with him. I could be blurring some mandala things here, but you're looking at the ego, the superego, and the id, the three modes of the psyche acting at once in that scene from Cannonball Run 2. Wow. I don't know if they knew that they were doing that. Like while they were filming it?
Yeah, right.
Are they like
Just that.
channeling?
Well, it would make sense that the orangutan was driving the car because how many times can you do 3, 4, 5, 6 things at the same time as you drive
Yeah.
and don't even know where you went after you got there?
Yeah, and he's dressed like a chauffeur. He's looking dapper. Like he really is.
All to the part.
I
It
think
does
it's
make
the
me
same.
wonder whether there was the intent or just they thought it was funny, right? And thought it was funny, and the reason it's funny is because deep down we get
It's
it on a
true.
deeper level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like Nee in Monty Python, right?
Python,
When
yeah.
you see the knights who say Nee, it took me 56 years to find. Oh my God, this is an Anunnaki reference to
Yeah, I
people
had
who
no
would
idea till you brought
smear
that up.
sacred paste on their face, and it was so intimidating, so scary that they would utilize this metallic, shiny, shimmering that felt like an electrical shock of fear when you see them. And these are the knights who say knee. So yeah, it's amazing how many layers. This is the topography I talk about, but it's amazing how many layers entertainment has. If you're a successful comic, I think you're hitting those harmonics, and it doesn't matter if you're conscious of them or not. You are simply hitting those harmonics. And so you may not be consciously aware that this transmits on this octave and this octave and this octave, but you recognize that there's something resonant about it. There's an intuitive sense you have as the artist, right? It's not really
Absolutely.
necessarily I've been here before and I'm aware that the Anunnaki have this, but it's although I do think that's probably what happened to Monty Python, because those guys, when you look at that script, you can tell this was like their Shakespeare work. Like they wrapped so much just deep truth into that, especially the whole what you going to appoint a king with a tart who gives out swords and we're covered in shit. Like that whole bit about the king is some of the most brilliant sort of, political satire slash philosophy slash just it hits every level, right?
Yeah.
Every note is expressed.
Well,
And if
it's
you've seen some of I was going to say, if you've seen some of the behind the scenes making of it, it was interesting seeing how it paired because, like you're saying, I think it's great how they had that knowledge, but it was layered. So, like, they had sort of ideas. So, for example, Graham Chapman playing Arthur, they were talking about he kind of decided to play it completely seriously straight, but they had not all the way conceptualized that when they were writing it.
Uh-huh.
So it brings this layers of that explore, like what I'm saying is I think it brings layers as the art's developed, right? So they didn't write with the idea of Graham Chapman playing it this way, but they wrote it, and then when they bring it forward and they're working with it, all these things kind of show up. And the other thing that was interesting about that was the fact that like the horses, right, the coconuts, right, that simply became a joke because they couldn't afford horses, and they didn't even think that necessarily that was going to be such a funny gag, but the way it came so naturally into it, right, was just out of necessity, right?
Yeah, well,
And
the
so
limitations.
then-
Yeah.
It's always the best.
And that really has a lot playing into what they did, because that was very low budget, and they really had to sort of work a lot of it because of that. And I just want to say that quip about the knee, that makes that scene make so much more resonant with me, because I had no idea that, and it's like, to me it's just funny dudes and big thing, but the mythology behind it, I think adds layers. And I've known a lot of it, like I think all of us have, that the Python boys did put in there, which was great. But I agree with you. I think they had a lot of depth in what they were working with in that regard. And I think that depth is what opens up the ability to, as they're making the film, right? It opens up these beats for them to hit, because all that's just there. They have the depth already built in.
Yeah, it's super interesting because how everything is like, if you go back now and you watch my Python, you'll get like what you couldn't get then, but it was there. And now I'm thinking, like, where do I get my news? I get my news from comedians.
Yeah.
So they lay it out like this Tim Dillon guy. I mean, he's like, lays out the news and then he just calls out weird shit. And I'm like, I wouldn't have known that. Like the ex-New York City mayor making a token, like a Bitcoin token. And I'm like, you can't make up certain things. And then if you, the whole thing, the news being kind of not the news, and then the comedians being the news, it's kind of like Mighty Python laying down Gnostic knowledge. Strange.
It goes back to like James, you were just saying about the fact that of on what level they need to know it. So comedians, Lori, I think is such a great point. Comedians, what makes it funny, right, is sort of a universal truth, but framed in a way that, a new sort of way or this kind of way. But comedians, when they're working, right, they are reading energy in the room, right? And so when they're working a joke, they may think of a joke in certain contexts and they see layers of it coming. I've heard this too, right? So exactly what you're talking about as far as like, they're delivering the news being like the what would you call it, the town crier, like telling you what's going on, but they're doing it in such a way that they're looking for sort of a fresh way to tell it. And I
it's
think
like the world is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. I want to read this. I want to read this. Okay,
go for it.
This is Anunnaki. The reason why I'm saying Anunnaki is, first of all, it sounds cool as fuck. All right.
Anunnaki.
Yeah, Anunnaki. But second of all, it's actually An and Ki are the two gods. This is sky and earth. So Uranus and Gaia would be An and Ki.
Anunnaki.
And so Una really is the gods in between. So Anunnaki is the gods in between An and Ki. Okay.
Oh.
And so these are giant dudes, deities. These are giant, really large creatures. And because they're large, it's probably best to think about them as the earliest cellular divisions that are taking place in your primordial fetal self, like that.
Like a Shakti and Shiva?
Past blastocyst, but now you're starting to grow a tail. Maybe you're proud of yourself because you got a butthole, and you're just like, look at me. I'm forming into something, and that formation that is this Anunnaki, because you're starting to build really large systems that have to be tamed, torn apart, built up, tamed again, etc., etc. So that's like the Anunnaki. But however, to get to Ni, I'll just start here. The deities, the Anunnaki, typically wore malam, an ambiguous substance which covered them in terrifying splendor. Malam could also be worn by heroes, kings, giants, and even demons. The effect that seeing a deity's malam has on a human is described as Ni. Ni, a word for the physical tingling of the flesh. Now, here's where I think it gets really cool, because we were just talking about ball lightning like a week ago. Deities were almost always depicted wearing horned caps, consisting of up to 7 superimposed pairs of ox horns. They were also sometimes depicted wearing clothes with elaborate decorative gold and silver ornaments sewn into them. So you are a walking speaker. Conductor / speaker, right? Yeah, exactly. You are an electromagnetic resonant tube, and the plasma is emanating from the horns, and you wearing a crown. I hope you can see how much this blows your mind in the sense of what we've always known about a crown. You wearing a golden crown is, in fact, a bicameral, a pre-evolutionary psyche. Imagine how wearing a crown would seem to the early mind that doesn't see blue, that sees charisma, that sees the terror of someone's energy in the room. And they're wearing a crown made out of gold. The focus of that, right? The way it would frame the energy, like the plasma, those beautiful blue bolts of plasma that you see on the end of wings, or that St. Elmo's fire stuff. But it would be emanating off these crowns, off their shoulder pads, off their elbow pointy things. This is why Madonna wears those giant pokey things, right? Like
I think they were like silver or gold too.
yeah, this is knee, you know, this is that knee. And we've just gotten so used to seeing energy that we had to learn to tune it out because frankly, it was too intimidating, wasn't it? It was too intimidating. Wow. And this is probably at the root of why you're not allowed to look at a king. Well, like early on, you couldn't look at the king because you would become useless. You would probably petrify, sort of like Medusa. You would find the situation so enchanting, whether it be through terror or through lust, that it would literally freeze you like a deer because your limbic system is so fucking loud that you lose your entire identity, right? The ego goes because the knee takes over.
Wow. Just like a dream when you freeze in those dreams.
When you can't move.
I've ever had the dream when you freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, those
That's
are creepy.
Because how many times I'm going to say the dreams where it is like you're kind of, it's danger. Usually, I guess for me it is anyway, it's danger. And it's the simplest thing. Like you say, you just got to take a step and you cannot move.
You can't move.
Paralyzed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everything shuts down and you're just like,
Yeah, I had a dream.
It's like static electricity.
Yeah, I had a dream an entity ate my ligament connections. And,
oh my God.
And then was eating the terror that I felt being paralyzed. So
yes.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is fucked up what you're doing. And it was like, I know, you know, it didn't have words, but it was just when I realized it, I could tell it started to eat more because the realization that this was happening was creating sort of like a flambe effect, right? Giving a little bit of like extra spice, I guess, for them to chew on. Well,
Well, think about now with the story of Anunnaki, but if you said it the other way, everyone is afraid of whatever that is. And it still has a power of feeding, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that mythology keeps going. It's just like still in the air, you know?
Yeah, I think it would cook you as a slave, as someone who's so intimidated by it. It would be a sort of radiation, a microwave radiation, and you would find it tiresome to be around. You would look to leave the presence of King as quickly as possible. You also would find it the most addicting thing you've known, right? So it would be this weird sort of obedience cult thing that would derive from it too, because you'd find safety. Because for the first time, you would have a snakes in hair, a figure that's more intimidating than the rest. And then you'd start to really be able to tap into the why people are purposely terrified. It starts to feed them too, because they find that this is a way to organize. Hey guys, we can all organize if we agree that that motherfucker over there is like the scariest out of all of us. And we start to say, hey, he's pretty scary. And then you start to really, this is how geese fly from Canada, you know? They have this natural prana sorting routine, and they decide where their prana is best served, where the points are, right? And this is sort of that invisible kind of hidden energy, right? This is the knee or the malam, I should say, of that kind of configuration too.
Is that where Malamu comes from?
Yeah, it's the same word. It's exactly the same thing. It's why.
So if you have if you smear, you get out, you start, manifesting your magnetism horns, and you just smear your imaginary Malamu all over yourself.
Yeah.
And go out and intimidate the shit out of the world.
This is what makeup is. This is what cutting your hair is. This is what shaving is. This is, your every single thing. This is why we adorn ourselves.
Costuming. With
jewelry or clothing or logos. We tap into the victory of Nike. We tap into the sophistication of polo. This shows you how old I am, but it's like, we tap into all those things because they are a form of Malam. The logo glows, or at least it used to, and then they change out. It's kind of different now. not really.
It is different now,
Yeah, there's not
right?
really-
Now it's like anti-logo.
Yeah, it's more about texture. Thank God, it's more about texture, utility, function. I mean, there's definitely still a lot of logo stuff out there, but in fact, I was noticing this because Mammut or something. It's this Alpine company, and
Oh yeah, Mammut, yeah.
this dude was this Matterhorn dude was. I mean, you could tell he's like having a good life because he's like, yes, I run this shelter at the Matterhorn, and all these are terrible climbers. They're all horrible. They're making foolish things. This is why everyone dies here. Everyone dies but me, and I sit here in the cabin and I wait for them to come, and I tell them, you're going to die because your shoes are not right, or you're using the wrong ropes, or you're not doing this or not doing that. And he's just having a great time, you could tell. And he's slathered with logos.
Right.
He's got and a lot of outdoor. This is not
It's
just
like
him.
Olympics, yeah.
But I think when I was noticing it, I was like, this is actually part of his power.
Yes.
Like it's sure that the clothing is technical. I will give you that. But in addition, the technical makes you believe in it more.
That's right.
Is really what it's all. Gore-Tex, motherfuckers go
Yeah, I
Gore-Tex.
mean, no doubt about it. The uniform enhances the performance of whatever
Yeah.
thing you're trying to embody, right? I mean, it definitely does. I'm curious, real quick, as you're talking about logos, you think is there a connection to the logos as far as like the word this kind of way and logos?
Oh, sure, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the logos and logos.
Absolutely.
Is logos a similar way? Would you say is that trying to sort of I won't say adopt, but you know what I mean, sort of like the harness maybe.
Yeah. So
Is that a better?
in my mind, logos is, well, I mean, typically by definition, it's different than what I'm seeing it as. By definition, it really more is about there is an eternal, absolute, God righteous truth. And I feel that I have it. And we call that the logos. And it's sort of but in my mind, I think in my mind, the better way to understand logos is that it is a petrified belief, just like any others, that allows you to find a lot of torque, thinking that you have the righteous path because you've said there is this clear, singular path that's been defined, and that's called the logos. It's very much a Platonic kind of belief where there's a Platonic realm that's outside of this place that's perfect. And all we're doing is just remembering incomplete pieces of the logos. So sometimes, so when you see a logo, you can kind of see why they're called that, Brad, because when you see a logo, you're looking at the archetypal hypothetical aspect, right, of victory, and you see the Nike logo. So those things are associated because they're trying to compete in space. It's a kind of a limited real estate. And only so many people are going to be able to plant their flag on that. I mean, ultimately, if you look at ISIS, if you look at Mother Mary, if you look at Jesus, there is a lot of room to plant flags. But in the corporate world, you have the ability to own a singular God, right? To actually occupy the pillar of Nike or victory and declare it yours. And you would be able to do that if you own the right archetypal actors that give you more real estate. But even then, if you look at Musk, I love how Musk proves that you still can't do it. Because no matter how much he's tried to buy Twitter, he can't. He can't do it. It's still so it shows you that the power is not even if you own all the real estate, you still don't own the meaning of that. And others would argue that that's because it's inside of this Platonic realm.
Would that be the Sybil before it turned into the Vestal version? More of the Platonic real.
Sure, totally, yeah.
I was also kind of thinking that, but these movies that we talk about, like, how could you make a name like Musk? It's like you talk a lot about smell, and Musk is like it's like a smell, and it's like owning the world through smell. Like the name Musk,
it's like it's so great.
Like a Musk.
When I was a kid, English leather. The first scent I had of cologne when I was a kid was English leather musk.
Yeah, I think I remember English leather as being some kind of brand. Yeah,
wasn't it in the 70s? It was like musk perfume or something. It was like pheromone perfume. And even with the name Musk, and even with all of this like power, he still smelled out.
Yeah.
Like he can't own Twitter.
Yeah.
He paid way too much for it.
Well,
And
like
even
say-
like the Tesla, like this whole thing about like it worth more money than other car companies, like way more money. I mean, and it really, what is it but like a logo or a false logos?
Yeah.
Well, it mostly is.
Yeah.
Like we talked about before, Lamborghinis and Ferraris being all about the branding, but the car is
Totally right.
complete shit.
Yeah.
Tesla is also not the best electric vehicle. He has they have cornered the market in the U.S. by subsidies, but if you look at the electric vehicles across the world, other
China's
brands
really the leaders of that.
yes, they are far
Yeah.
superior. But he did, interestingly, he picked the logo Tesla, and we all know the power of that sort of
Yeah.
idea.
And I think
And
that
that
shows you
idea
what
of,
he's
like,
chasing. Yeah. He's
369. He wants to own the energy of 369
and
which
Mars.
is,
He wants to own the energy
And Mars.
of all Iron Man, right? So you can tell that it's just a
Right.
fetish for being loved and being at the center of things, you know.
and having all that money and making yourself look like Ball when you come out in a Halloween costume.
But in real sense, isn't that kind of the sad part, that you can sense something like that with Musk, is that he really does want to be loved, and that's like kind of the one thing that's probably, for all his effort.
And we talked about this, but like Burning Man changed when these billionaires decided to make it theirs, and they made these avenues of the billionaire.
Yeah.
Because they're just bored on the realm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's I think the thing that hurts Musk the most, besides himself, is truly the world, and the world really does use him as a token for all kinds of different things, and he likes that. So it's a symbiotic relationship that requires him to be sad, requires him to be lonely, And
it wasn't that long ago that he was a Doge. So then there was this Doge, and then they found these computers that were just printing money. And then what that was just last year. And like, what happened to the computers that were printing money?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you say he's okay with being a joke, I get the same feeling with a lot of these characters, like Trump too. It's almost like there's no, it doesn't even matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, like you're saying, I don't think they mind all that as long as they're pursuit, right?
Well, I like to think they do mind.
It's kind of giving us some like cartoon.
Yeah. I think that's actually part of their success.
Well, I mean, I think they want to be loved, but what I'm saying is it won't.
Yeah. I wanted to say that I think it's kind of like something that gives us something to look at as like a cartoon.
Yeah, that's
as Turtle Island is like rocking and rolling right now. Like out there in Portland, did you have an earthquake?
Oh, there was something off the coast.
Did you feel it?
Really?
No, I didn't feel anything.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a lot of action going up in this Northwest Pacific area with and West Coast in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of like moving.
So
that left flipper is flapping around out there,
I think that I actually have hope in the world because and people can just totally get off the bus on this, but I think that Trump really is only effective and successful because he has such a addiction to this egotistical approach, of things, and the same thing for Musk. Like this is part of what makes them successful, is that they are so just ridiculously pathetic in this.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
You look at Trump. I mean, I was going to say the fact that when you look at the fact that no other politician would have said that, that's exactly it, is because most every other sort of, politician, whatever, quote unquote, is attempting to present themselves somewhat seriously in a regard. Whereas, as we're talking about with Trump, it's like, that doesn't even matter. Whether you take anything seriously or whether it makes sense, it's the simple fact that he knows very well, that's just it. I will say and do anything. And that's kind of like, the big thing is that nothing sticks to me. And that whole thing, I saw it when people were getting excited about him in 2016. And I kept seeing stories about like, oh, we got him, because he'd say something stupid, right? and it never stuck. And I was just laughing because I was like, you people don't get it. The people that really are tuning into him and plugging into him, they don't give a crap that what he says might be stupid. They will
I think they like ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I thought, grab her by the pussy or something. That was definitely one.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is going to end him. He was caught on a hot mic or something. It was like, oh, well,
No. And right now, like he's, there. It's like we have this thing that's like a rinse, wash, repeat, and we're back here at Davos again, and like he's got his whole entourage there. But now I have a friend in Copenhagen. There's a huge Turtle Island protest because of Greenland. If they break the deal for this NATO thing in Greenland, it is a domino effect for what it was a really good historical thing that this, friend of mine in Copenhagen, and she's like, this is scaring the bejeebus out of these Denmark, these people there, because it's part of their identity, and there's nothing to defend except NATO to defend against another NATO, whatever this is. It's some kind of weird, like, I mean, how many more things can you get weird? Like, we've got the 4,000 people, protests and killed, supposedly. I don't know. I'm not in Iran, but I don't even know. Like, they protested because their currency lost its value. Then we're going for why are we going for Greenland? The whole thing is like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, Greenland is such a great cover. If you wanted to invade Venezuela and people were like giving you shit for it, all you got to do is threaten to invade Greenland too, and you were suddenly now fine on Venezuela. Yeah. And if you end up not invading Greenland, they're going to feel like they fucking won, and you've invaded Venezuela. And ultimately, I think you're looking at I think you're looking at like a Mossad sort of, just a really advanced form of cunning is all I'm trying to say. You're looking at a super advanced form of predator that's just thinking about chess and evil all the time, like evil chess all the time. Like Stephen Miller is like the Diet Coke of these people. Like he's not even close, and that dude's evil as fuck. But I'm just telling you, he's just more of a sadist. These guys they're religiously devoted to this kind of sinister thing. They've had things done to them as children, precisely because it's turned them into these cunning kind of spirits. And so when you think about, man,
like werewolf all the time.
Yeah, I think that's why Epstein was probably taken out by Mossad outside of Trump's even like knowledge, because now it's like even more, dude, they're gonna think you did this. They're gonna see you did this. You're gonna do this, dude. You're fucked. He's been fucked so long ago that's why all these things seem to be bulletproof, because they're so lightweight compared to the kind of leashes, the kind of things that this guy has wrapped around him. This is the way voters feel is like, who the fuck cares? And Pam Bondi's the same way. Stephen Miller's the same way. All of them. That's why it's such a perfect cabinet to see assembled, because you're seeing this is the only way this could work. This is the only way that they could pull this shit off. And they have to start fires all the time. They have to, if you think about even the ICE invasions are a cover up for all the other shit that they're doing.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about these names. You can't make the names up, right? So JP Morgan's guy is Jamie Dimon. Doesn't that sound like some kind of like, I don't know, super
Bond villain?
Like a superhero film or something. Jamie Dimon. And it was just like
wrestling.
JP Morgan is like all tied up in that stuff too. It's like when this comes down to the the money and where's the oh my goodness, it's cray and kind of fun when you make up. How can you make up a name like Elon Musk or Jamie Dimon?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they're stage names in England. Probably not. They're probably their genuine birth names. I know that most of entertainment, like actors anyway, they all adopt stage names, and stuff like that. But in this
Sybil
regard,
Shepherd that James did that was great. Sybil.
Yeah, I think I don't think that Donald Trump. I think that name Trump was changed. I think it was
Yeah,
a
I
little
think it
bit
had
off.
more German.
Yeah, it had more German or some shit in there. I used to look at that a long time ago, but
Trump cough or something.
yeah, so
well,
everyone's
they
gonna
absolutely had an idea.
everyone's gonna try and align with whatever they can do, but ultimately the biggest thing that's enabled it is just the way the general public just responds to it. Just the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, Trump knows America better than we do. Like, he really does.
That's what I
because-
was feeling about going into that election I was talking about. That's what I got that feeling of when it was that whole gotcha thing, that I was sort of thinking that same thing, that I don't think you really understand the population you're talking about, or the segment of the people, the psyche of the people, because you didn't understand what they were responding to. And that truly was it. It's like they'd be saying all this crazy stuff that, Trump said this and said that. But like I said, fundamentally did not understand that Trump did. He understood. And I think he absolutely understood. This is my people, or this is the psyche of the country that he can work with,
Yeah.
And the people that get mad at him function that way too. Like, even getting mad at him creates this whole on this
Plays
whole,
into his hand.
it does.
It's kind of strange how it's kind of been Trump's been kind of like a sedation drug or something. Like it's like an anything goes. You could just say anything and have no accountability.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, it's a form of like mind control drug or something. We can expect our president to not make any sense and say whatever he wants, but never mean it. But, there's something about it that's like fascinating to people.
Yeah. And it moves with the same way, like you're saying, they keep starting new fires, right? So just that aspect that you keep on starting new fires, or you keep on moving the goalposts, you keep moving. It's just no one ever has a chance to sort of claim their feet or stand a ground anywhere, or at least that's kind of what I keep waiting to see, if that's what a point, like with this ICE thing, right? Whether it hits a point where the enough of the psyche of the population does hit a point where they're like, okay, something needs to be done here. But at the same time, like you said, James, is like, if that's really cover for bigger stuff, even if that were to play out in a way and like, okay, this situation now cools down, you're just going to light another one somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing is
just kind of,
you just have to tell people that we promise in 6 years we're gonna try and have a one criminal investigation. We're gonna pick one ICE officer. We're gonna make that the thing that we use to prove that there's justice. But meanwhile, this stuff's already, it's happening right now.
Right.
It's already is happening. We have fucking the president of Venezuela in a jail cell, and we're pretending that our laws cover his jurisdiction, and all this is, it's Donald Trump's right. We're all just like, sure, fine, go ahead, because it's really just revenge. This is just all about revenge, and it exposes the two-party system. And ultimately, this is what Donald Trump's allowed to do, because this is these fuckers elected him. They did. That system did. I can show you Democrats that were like, we really want to run against Donald Trump. We really want to run against Donald Trump. That's what we need. If we run against him, we're going to do better. So we're actually going to help Donald Trump. Like, I could show you things. I used to cover that a long ass time ago when I believed this stuff was legit, and there was, in the sense of like there was something to be done about it, or it had a logos, Brad. It was back when I thought about that. I believe that there was this logos at work, and I think this is why we all we do is we're not realizing the lessons of the Iroquois Confederacy, of the snakes in here. It's everything's right there. We're so close. We just have to realize what Washington's for. Nothing else actually has to change. The only thing that needs to change is our definition of snakes in here. Mm-hmm. Because if we truly did understand what that is, why we have this swamp here, then our attitude changes, and we're not looking for it to help us. We're actually looking for it to be this pit that keeps the snakes there. And that's the only thing that we've lost. We didn't listen to the soil telling us this is what it's for.
If you looked at it like that was nothing's broken, that you need this in order for growth, there has to be that.
Yep.
Because you're not going to make that go away. It just is here. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, like, about the ice thing, and like why Minnesota? It's freaking freezing there. And then I'm like, what? And so I thought, I don't know if I said it on this or not, but I was thinking it's going to affect everyone if you need a roof. The only people who do roofs are
How about the fact that I think,
and now people are not able to get roofs because these guys are up on the roof and they're like, oh, how do they get down and get away from that?
well, the joke here where I'm at is ICE apparently is recently arrived in Gainesville, and if you don't know anything about Gainesville is a huge chicken alley, chicken farms up there, one of the huge biggest productions. So anyway, the joke is that
stuff is up there.
The chicken's gonna get more expensive on us now, right? Won't be able to get chicken.
So fried chicken
top
for you.
Of the pyramid too.
So we flipped it. Exactly. I was about to say that. We flipped it to say that that's the number one thing on the pyramid now, and now you can't have it.
Can't have your protein. Yeah, it's super interesting. People are not able to get roofers. And I thought, well, it might change when the people that voted for it and like it can't get what they used to get. So it's kind of
at the same time, as involved as they are in the revenge side of it, right? As wrapped up as they are in the revenge, it's almost like that energy that they put into that almost blinds them sometimes in a lot of ways, to the damage it's doing to themselves, the way it's hurting them even. Because all they want is revenge.
Yeah, I think that does have they want to see another drug. Revenge is a drug.
It really is. And that's what I was saying about the a lot of the divides. I think it's like the reason it's stuck in terms of not progressing in a way, right, is the understanding that in a deep level, it's like, because a lot of times people talk about like, well, if white supremacy, right? If you just put the whites back in their place, like all of this will be gone. And I'm always saying, but it's the psyche that responds to that in the first place. And this goes back to what you're saying about the snakes and hair and keeping them in Washington. And like you said, Lori, the fact that it is here, that is a part of the psyche, and you do have to deal with it in a way. But the first thing is to understand what it is and not try to rationally engage it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it is on a deep level. People, and this was the point I was making that some people disagreeing with. I was saying that at a certain level of the psyche, when they're hurting in a way, right, they just want someone else to hurt. They're not really looking to address what's causing their hurt. It really, in a deep way, becomes this thing, well, if I'm miserable, you should be miserable too. And you see this play out in people.
I think it's a psychic trauma bonding.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because you see people that have true, real empathy, and they're outraged, like on Facebook, by what ICE is doing. But then it's just a collection of then people to come in and ridicule everyone that has emotions about it. And then I think that's where the revenge part really shows you, because it's the people that are enjoying the fact that other people are hurt is a whole other kind of energetic violence that's taking place in addition to the ICE stuff. So one thing, there's ICE, but then there's a fetish cult that's enjoying the sadism of it all. But the sadism isn't even necessarily over, oh, we shot her in the head. It's that, oh, look at all these people that are outraged. We can come in and laugh at them because they have the nerve to be outraged by it. And that's the kind of energy that I think is really, really interesting, because to me, this is more the spirit of Templo Mayor. This is probably the true energy of Thalak and Huitzilopochtli and the people fighting between each other about who are we going to sacrifice next? Is it going to be for our side or for their side? And so both sides have zero interest in stopping the bodies coming up the pyramid. It's more about what kind of propaganda can we say to insist that this person is brought up on our side of the pyramid versus their side of the pyramid. Oh my God. And this, to me, this is anthropology, because we're able to psychically look at, with snakes and hair and with Templo Mayor, you can see the true spirit, the true animism. Just as I tell everyone that in ancient Greece, you didn't know you're a werewolf, so today you and I are living in an animistic state that has this cannibalism that is so abhorrent that we can't even fucking see it happening. And when I see the ridicule, that I was just talking about, I realized that it's much more subtle than the actual, we're taking you away from your family. So I'm not trying to reduce that, but I'm saying that there's a deeper energy underneath, and it's revenge, it's majoritarian consensus, and it's revenge over you were right last time. I'm going to make you fucking pay for it. Because ultimately that's what's driving Quetzalcoatl. That's what's driving the sacrifice, is the revenge cults that occur between the two. And those would only occur in a binary system. They would only occur when both sides are insisting that we need someone like Donald Trump, that we need him. They called him. And so we can't sit there and say Donald Trump did this to us. No.
Oh yeah, no,
That's not what happened at all. In fact, Donald Trump, 8 years ago, was told, you are going to be sacrificed, and we're going to dress you up like this dude. You're going to have the makeup of Jupiter on your face, literally. We're going to paint your face red, Jupiter orange. And you're going to sacrifice children of Rome so that you can build a bigger temple, expand the empire, blah, 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 create more war. And this is the Department of fucking War. Every single thing is just directly in line with all of those things, which
and it's aligned with the stars, James. Jupiter's like a king right now, like in between Gemini. I saw last night Jupiter right there, and in between the twins.
Yeah,
I was like, he's set up to do exactly what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
It's a
Almost
cosmic.
Like we all needed collectively this to be called for, to become more overt, more obvious, so that we would kind of have to face it. We wouldn't face it any other way, kind of.
Yeah. I
Kind
think
of just
that's
more ridiculous. Like, wow, like look at the play on the stage.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dude, maybe I want to look behind the curtain.
This
What's
is
going on behind
if
that?
we can just get to
Along
that
with lovers,
snakes and
right?
hair. Yeah. If we can get to that snakes and hair, if we can get there.
You think it's like the play of consciousness. If like consciousness is primary, and if you realize that you are an ever life bunny that,
Right.
and that you are like looking at fractals of yourself as you look into the world. Everyone is a reflection of a creator consciousness, right? How
People.
could you? The peoples.
People
How
of
can
God.
how can you like go like one against another? How can you have revenge?
Well, isn't that the
You have
thing
to
that
be
like
werewolf.
and isn't that the thing that's like it sounds like early consciousness is like before empathy comes online. It sounds like where we're at, it's like empathy coming online is that first one to sort of observe this sort of what we're talking about here, the early psyche of the us versus them, right? That's the bicameral sort of situation, right? Which is not empathetic. And it's like as empathy comes online, as we experience the consciousness experience that empathy, it starts to see beyond that us versus them and sees through that sort of thing. But in order for it to grow and like really come online and develop, it's like it's kind of like almost has to be beaten out of us or whatever like that. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it's not an easy thing to develop.
Yeah.
If you're coming from that pre-psyche where it's like the bicameral mind, where even within ourselves in the earlier psyche couldn't this like had a hard time rectifying what we've been talking about, right? The werewolf brain, the two sides of the brain, right? And identifying that both of them are me. So even in that bicameral mind early on, you're trying to disassociate, like we've been talking about with werewolf, right? That werewolf state has been the other side of us trying to disassociate, saying, well, that's not me, but it is me. And the only way to get through that is kind of really to bring all this to the surface and bring this werewolf psyche right overtly front and center to kind of, face that, right?
Yeah, I think about the bread and circus, like this bread and circus of like teams or competitiveness or, vendettas or revenge or I don't know. It's like there's this level of how did somebody break out of that? How did the people that are listening to this, how did you break out of that?
Violence.
How did you see?
Yeah.
That was.
I think it's violence. I think that if you really want to, like the most compassionate way you could look at it is that obviously people the revenge stuff is a flavor of retribution, and retribution is a flavor of deep pain and injustice.
Yeah.
And if you have deep pain and injustice in you, revenge would be the one of the medicines that you would be exercising to try and resolve. I'm not justifying. I'm just saying that that's the vector
That's
someone
naturally
that
what you
feels
would find.
injustice. Would
You'd have to go victim. You'd
it
have
would
to go
look like
victim.
it would look like revenge.
Yeah.
If you look at China, you've got 3,000 more years of just pure raw violence. Of people like Trump would literally say, no, we're not going to go take a few people in Minnesota. I'm going to flood Minnesota. I'm going to put Minnesota under fucking water. Now 1 million people have drowned. And because I don't want you guys said you wouldn't vote for me. And ultimately,
Problem solved.
yeah,
Right.
this
Frozen. Minnesota's frozen.
if you think about all the violence that is still innately in people that
Yeah.
are living in the most stable milk toast kind of life, it's going to take a bazillion years to get all that violence out. Unless you have something like a drip emitter of vitriol, like pouring out of the sprinkler systems, allowing you to alchemize as best you can in a world that doesn't want violence. So we have to. I think you're watching all this take place. If you could really take all the people that are on Facebook that are laughing at anyone that's showing like contempt for ICE, and let them come to a field and fight all the people that have the energy that they feel this is fucking wrong, what you're doing, you're not allowed to do this. If those people could actually meet on a field and have that kind of energetic exchange, I think you would see a lot of epigenetic cleansing. A lot of that revenge would cease to become a fetish, and you would be forced to enact your true feelings. The fetish would drop. I think that because the fetish drops, you would find that most people are not actually addicted to violence. They're addicted to revenge. And when they notice that the revenge is now in their hands, they start to understand maybe why their ancestor lost. That their ancestor was not able to embrace the same kind of werewolf, violent, berserker, I'm taking off my pants and I'm going to fucking kill you kind of spirit of the great-great-grandfathers before. And that coping with that is its own kind of trauma that requires its own kind of consciousness. And that all these things are so embarrassing, so shameful, so suppressed that they're going to look like this. And I'll just put a cherry on top of this because Gettysburg is considered the most violent part of the Civil War. And 90% of those guns were still fucking loaded. They had only been fired once. When you bring people to it, when you give them the shoes and you give them the weapons and you give them the gunpowder and you give them the fear, they still don't want to kill each other.
Right.
They want to hate each other. They want to threaten each other. They want to invoke revenge on each other. They want to kill from a distance. It's a different kind of psyche. And in my opinion, it's way too slow for progress. It barely counts. I'm barely giving you a D- on this. Yeah. Like if I could talk about it, it's like I don't even really want to pass you, but fuck, technically you fell in the right direction, and that is sort of heading towards the goal. And I need to be more patient, but also I'm just like, dude, we need more vitriol. We need like a lot more vitriol because this shit isn't working because people are just going to keep suffering. The people that don't deserve to suffer are going to keep suffering because of this.
But this
Yeah.
is kind of what drove me out of politics through the just the aspect of what we're talking about. Because I went through the phases. I thought I was Democrat, thought I was Republican, these kind of ways, because you identify with this idea or that idea, and it's always about fully one side or the other. But that aspect is what, because I guess I flirted with both parties or believed in a sort of way, and I watched it as a whole, and I watched that there was no real progress, or that it was that slow happening on this regard, because of the aspect we're talking about here, that really what each side wants to do is hate each other. And if you watch now, because it's only gotten worse, and if you watch any sort of political discourse now, as far as the Fox or the CNBC on both sides, that you can very clearly see that that's the exact aspect. No one wants to fix anything. Everybody wants to just hate the other side. And that's what's interesting. You talk about Gettysburg, and when it actually comes to it, more often than not, I see someone who has this mentality where they hate the right so bad, and from the right, they hate the left so bad. When these two individuals actually have to speak. Now, let me go ahead and qualify that a little bit. If it's strangers and we can maintain this hateful pose and posture, this can be a shout sort of. But what I am saying is I've seen people from both sides of the aisle actually talk to someone in a human way, and it's so hard to stay as angry and hate that person. And they know this, which is why I think political discourse so well focuses on appealing to that hate. Mm-hmm. Don't talk to the other side, just hate the other side. Don't understand the other side, just hate the other side. And that's why I agree with you that that's why it's probably a good thing, because that is slow as because no one wants to come out of that. Like, well, maybe they do, but
I was thinking about that battle in World War II, when the two sides stopped for Christmas and celebrated Christmas together. Like, what's the psyche of that? Like, how do you, like, okay, a song is played, Silent Night, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's so spiritual, it's magical. We're in this snow-covered field in the middle of nowhere, and we're going to share cigarettes with each other, and we're going to share whatever, and we're going to have this celebration. And then the next morning, you get back on your side and you kill each other. What the heck is that? So I don't know. Do you think women would do that? I can't even imagine in my psyche how I could do that.
Yeah.
But that just doesn't make an ounce of sense to me.
Yeah. And the only thing that I can even come close to trying to even compassionate that is that they would have to believe kind of what's going on now. They would have to believe that it's kind of like what I say the Freemasons did. They're trying to be cool. Like you're living, you're a Freemason, you're just lit. You're consciously lit. You know what's going on. You know how to carve rocks, and you got your own millstone. People are gathering around. Yeah. You're considered. You've got a lot of malam, right? You're ebbing with consciousness. People are terrified of you, and you don't want to fuck with people. You just want to have a good life. You want to raise a good family, and then your grandniece is getting raped. Your grandnephew's just gone one day, and you're starting to realize that. See, Lori, to me, this is the big threshold in my mind, because I can put myself there because I watch it how everyone treats each other and me, and I see that there's a threshold where I'm like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to do some pruning. And I'm going to go get my boots on, and I'm going to plot how to make the world a better place. And there's a different morality at place because I have installed a kind of righteousness. And this is why I think revenge is so important, because the fetish of revenge is more important than you might think. It's showing you a certain posture that you have. The only posture you could fathom to hold righteousness while you're still crawling on your belly would be revenge. It would be.
I know, but can't you take revenge in different ways, like GameStop when they did that? You know, when Anonymous did that thing and they pulled the short, and it's like, couldn't you just like use your revenge and in a not killing people? I mean, you could use it in a different way, no?
Yeah. Well, at the same time, what we're talking about, I don't think most people's like thirst for revenge as actually carries to the point that they could actually kill somebody. Do you know what I mean? Just in the average sort of sense.
Well, I see a lot of killing and I see a lot of war, and you know, we've got a war going on for how many years, this Ukraine thing, and he's coming back here to the United States to what? I don't know what makes people want to pay for weapons that kill
This is
people.
why I think you mentioned the male psyche. I think the male psyche probably has a predilection to actually go to that violence side as far as the physical violence. But like the idea that, let's say you were a Freemason and you were looking at this or anybody in that regard and saying, if these fuckers want to fight and kill each other so bad, let's have a war and they can all show up. You know what I'm saying? If that's your proclivity, that's all it takes. But I think when you mentioned that thing in the World War II when they sang, that's the thing to me is like at a certain point in the psyche, right? In that situation, they're all miserable in their foxholes. They're all freezing. So they're sharing a universal human experience as far as the conditions that they're in. And you figure like that's all it took was a little respite in that song for them to step out of that revenge mentality, which they were righteously engaged by their country to do, right? But then their humanism, right? It like takes the front seat, but very quickly it's easy to step back into because these are my orders, this is my country, this is what and they're operating on that.
But everyone comes from my aunt and mother, like from a mother. Mm-hmm. Like mothers wouldn't want to send their children to war or even bomb other people's kids.
I also think there's an aspect of when you go join the military, and I don't know every other country, but I do know from my experience with family through here, but there's a reason that if you join the military, James, you know firsthand, that if you join the military, their first goal is to break you down, right? Basically to remove those layers so that you will become a more efficient sort of
killing machine.
Yeah, I mean, because there is a level of having to turn like the folks who really go psycho, they turn a certain part of their psyche off. Do you know what I'm saying? They have to disassociate.
Yeah,
which is why I was going back to saying, I know you're saying there's plenty of people that kill in the world, but what I'm saying is you take the population of the world as a whole, I don't think killing somebody is an easy thing to do. I think you have to actually, like, I'm just saying, like, we've heard this trope plenty of times too, like, where someone is in some sort of field or whatever, but the first time you kill somebody, apparently, I've not experienced this, but I can believe it, that would have a big effect on your psyche. You know what I'm saying? But once you've killed a person and you've normalized it to your psyche, I can see how it becomes easier. But I guess what I'm asking then is, do you think, I know violence going back has been necessarily like hunt, gathering, you have to protect yourself for survival. But what I guess I'm asking is the particularly the level of violence raising to the level of lethal force. So let's take the good killing up there, right? And the whole discussion was there was no way that was a necessary use of force, right? That it escalated to that extent to handle that situation. And that's what I'm asking. Do you think that's a little more natural that for example, that ICE agent, as an example, would have to perhaps be a little bit sort of have their psyche somewhat broken to react that way, to kill somebody in that regard, where it's hard to believe that you could be in that situation and feel like your life was actually under threat being the agent, right? You know what I'm saying?
Like you're saying it wasn't his first rodeo, or he... That's
what I'm saying, that somehow he has to have already normalized this for himself.
Has anyone when growing up as a kid, did you meet kids that tortured animals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I something about that disturbed me as a kid.
Well, that's why.
Go ahead, James.
Well, that's why I realize I'm just a really immoral, evil guy, because I don't have the same views of killing as you guys do. I literally can see why and explain why it would be moral and righteous to kill someone. I completely have that all mapped out in my mind, and so I just feel bad because I'm like a cruel person because I'm realizing no, I think that I don't think that's the way it works at all. I think ultimately, if you want to survive in the world, you have all these tools at your disposal, and if you just look at how this world's full of psychopathic killers. I've met a few that this one guy, Bishop, I wrote about my first book, that I think that guy's probably tortured some people. He ran a fat camp, but once he was an adult, it gave me chills, because I started to realize, holy fuck, what was he doing? Because he tried to kill me once. He threw a giant log at me when I was standing right by the side of this mountain, and had I have not ducked right when he did this, it just the sheer weight of catching it would have knocked me off the mountain. He chased me down. We got on an island once in a canoe, and he started chasing me down with a paddle. And I was the most innocent of kids then, and that's why he wanted to do that. I didn't show like, oh, I'm Rambo. I'm not even saying I'm that in my way, but I've thought a lot about this. I've thought a lot about Freemasons wandering around, noticing that their nieces are getting taken away, and I'm just saying it makes sense that there would be a time where even when I look at the guy that killed Renee Good, that guy raised $1 million fucking dollars. He raised $1 million on GoFundMe. The dude who murdered Renee Good, $1 million. And when I hear that, I don't think that what we're doing is moral, because we're like, I don't think that the way that we're responding to this is moral by not doing anything. But I also know that I'm in a room of people that if I say, hey, why don't we just fucking shoot the guy? You guys are going to look at me like, hey, dude, we can't be, look. And I'm just like, okay. But see, I'm thinking about it more from this is a jungle. That's a predator. Why do we need a law?
Self-defense?
Why are we looking for a law to just, why don't one of us say, I want to take the hit for this? Because this is wrong. I want to make my community better. And as the Freemason, I would do what is needed, because this is the guy that cut the genitals off and put them on a stick and ran through the woods. I'm going to kill this guy. And I need to torture him. I need to find his friends. I need to, all the other things that I would need to tell myself to do that, I think would all be immoral. But I also think that the immorality I'd be exercising would be a great work. Not a righteous work, not a hey, we're going to come back and pardon you. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying that if you remember me as a Moses Cone or as a Albert Pike, it will be as a George Washington even. It will be because there was a righteous pruning that I was exhibiting on this earth. And I know how terrifying and scary and slippery slopes, so forgive me. That's why I kind of want to be quiet. But I have to be honest and say, I have these thoughts. I think these things about it.
I don't totally disagree with them, man. Because that's kind of what I'm saying. And let me qualify when I was talking about like people going off to war, and we were mentioning like soldiers and things like that. In terms of when you have a personal stake in it. So, for example, when I'm talking about this council, right? If someone is physically hurting someone that I love and I have a very personal vested interest, I don't think the same rationale applies in terms of my sort of reaction to would I physically intervene. I think, of course, I would, right? And probably with as brutally as I could. But like you're talking about, that's like you're talking about the Freemason, his niece is getting raped. There's a very personal tie there. Whereas when kind of was talking about in terms of like ICE, and I'm not saying these aren't messed up people, but in soldiers and things like that, it's kind of like you're charged with going after people in a sort of a disconnected sense, right? It's not well, let's go back to the Wild West, right? Let's think about the fact that if you call it like sounds like more like what you're talking about, James, where it's like if there's a predator in the room and the community decides they need to take him out, they take him out. But it's like the government sort of says, no, you, the populace, don't do that. We'll take care of that. And now that we've assumed that role, we're telling you who all the predators in the world are. So we'll send you off to handle them. But what I'm saying is there's a disconnect in my mind from that of being a very personal sort of, there's a predator right here in my space. And if I don't, if we don't deal with this, that we're also, I agree with you in terms of the ICE guy, right? I don't think you should pardon him. He should go walking the street. I don't think they're going to do anything to him. But I would agree with you that if someone's demonstrated that for the good of society, that predator needs to be stopped one way or another. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like the difference of what I'm saying in terms of like a
sure,
sort of a personal.
And I'm not even saying I'm right, guys. I'm just more telling you this is what's in my heart.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more telling you that I don't see the Matrix as legit. And because of that, my morality has had to have changed because I can't look at criminal justice as a instrument of implementing justice. I think that this is the antithetical to what's happening. But I do think what would happen is that you would make something as expensive as possible for something to be done. Instead of it being, here's a $50,000 bonus for joining ICE, or here's a fucking million goddamn dollars for shooting a lesbian in the face and calling her a fucking bitch.
No, I didn't hear about that. Can you fill me in on that real quick? You saying the ICE agent got rewarded?
GoFundMe.
Are you serious?
$1 million.
Well,
And
I guess that's not.
I'm livid. That's what I was telling you about earlier, though, guys.
That's
When I was telling you about
exciting.
revenge, remember all the speech I was getting about
right.
revenge earlier?
Right.
Because I'm trying to tell you that this is how I've tried to stomach this without going out and saying we need a posse. But ultimately, I really think the lesson more is coming back to this. I think that it's supposed to be immoral to take life. And I think you're supposed to sacrifice your morality for what you think is the great work and suffer the consequences, i.e., pay the consequences of what you gave. And if you had a bunch of epigenetic trauma, of all the bullying, all the murdering, all the conniving, all the evil Donald Trump shit that you did to survive when you were 100 years ago or 200 years ago, you would live in a world now that allowed you to epigenetically cleanse yourself by committing immorality for a moral purpose. Guys, there is not a cleaner alchemical recycling program than what I just described. The amount of energy loss turns to zero. Zero energy loss in this system. And prison looks like a place that's very different than now. It's a very different kind of structure, what prison is. It almost looks like a monastery. I'm not talking about that people are wandering around in robes chanting, although there could be that. But you're looking at a population that has a spiritual component to being there. And those reasons could be very, very different than what you would expect to see there now. And that population would be fucking so alchemically powerful because you'd have these dudes in there that were paying for some of the most popular sins in the world next to the people that are paying for the sins that are some of the most disgusting in the world. And that those guys would be together in the same vortex. And the energy, the growth, the kismet, the phantasmal chiropractic that would occur there, I think would be one of the biggest power centers in the world.
So so I'm thinking about like the people that have done the most criminal, like immoral, like whatever, are wearing suits out in the world. You know, and the criminals, a lot of them, you know, are proven from DNA that they didn't even do what they did.
Yeah.
Said that, you know, they were in
25%.
there.
Again, the biggest predators are not the dudes in the alleys.
Yeah. So how do you know? How do you really know? How does anyone really know? We're living in this upside down world.
Yeah, and you don't, and you didn't know during a duel. This is why if you would drop, not you, but if we would drop the myth of justice, then the world of duels would come back, and I don't think necessarily that they were necessarily believing, well, whoever wins this duel is going to clearly be the righteous God. It's more like, oh, well, that didn't work out, or fuck yeah, the piece of shit got what he's coming. It's like any other prize fight. Except for now, you're not hiring someone to fight these battles for you on this fake bread and circuses stage. You're the one that has to put your stuff on the line, and more importantly, you're the one that also has to realize what all is at stake for all these things. And I think your conviction ends up becoming more sharp, more focused, more brutal, but also much more directed. And I think you end up with a stronger society because everyone isn't able to pull a facade. You really have to narrow in and say, look, this is what's important to me. And this is not as important to me as I thought it was.
See, I like that you brought the duel into it, because taking that back to what I was saying about the average sort of person and their ability to take their violence to that level. That's exactly kind of the point I'm saying. It's like if you took a lot of these, I don't know whether they would have the fortitude that would actually sit there and step up to a duel, which I do agree with you. I think that would make people a lot more honest and true in terms of.
It even gets more complex because, and here's where it starts to break down, which is why I think you need this different look at morality and punishment, because the people that would be more prone to dying would be the ones with less to lose. And that's not a system that you want to support, trust me, because it'll completely empty itself out very quickly. So you have to look at it on a long-term epigenetic scale, because I think if we started to understand epigenetically, we're just selflets of like 100 years ago stacked on top, but we only see like 25 years of what's going on. So you have all those programs that are enacted. And if you at least had the avenue, I think that if you had duels as a thing you could do, I think 0.0001% of people would use them. I think as soon as you said, let's do it, as soon as you did it, it'd be like, crazy, like insane. Okay. Just like Black Friday sale. But then right after you did that, I think that it would stabilize, because you wouldn't be able to have a facade there anymore, because there literally is a place where you could resolve things. So like, think about road rage, right? If road rage could then, I think you get what I'm saying. It's not a clean system, but it's a more honest, more natural system is what I mean. It's more based on what it's really like in Africa, what it's really like in the jungle. Because I think if we understood that this is more of a jungle, I think that we would be fooled less. And if we were fooled less, I think they would have to try harder, meaning the stagecoach drivers to actually sell the propaganda. They would have to, now we got to sell the propaganda to people that are actually living in the same world we are. And that's harder to do, right? That's a different system that's for sale. And I think this whole criminal justice system is part of that mind control that's really just really fucked us here, because we're expecting there to be someone else to fix it. Go ahead.
If their money went down, there would be nothing to pay for the system. They couldn't feed the enlightened ones in the jail. And what would happen? They just have to let them all out. We'd be back in the jungle. I was thinking about the La Miserable, and the guy goes to jail for I don't know how many years for stealing a loaf of bread to feed his family. Then he goes and steals all the silver from the bishop, right?
Yeah.
And the bishop says, I gave it to him. So then the guy takes all of that abundance and changes the world, right? Supposedly. I don't know. But it was kind of like thinking about what is right and what is wrong. And like, how does it work itself out when you just live with your own morality within yourself? I don't know. I mean, nobody's done everything right,
No, and that's why I think
without right, there would be no left. Without left, there would be no right.
Right.
So they can't exist without the other.
Right.
Well, again, back to the whole us and them being an aspect of mentality where we try and push part of our psyche out there and say that's them, but I'm us, and not really. And that's just another complex of not saying I'm part of the whole, or I am, of the whole. And when you mention road rage, James, I think that's a perfect example of the fact of, like you said, with dueling, right? There are people that road rage incidents become deadly. So there's that real aspect of these are the folks who would duel. But just as that example, because I've been guilty of this, how easy is it when you're in the facade of your car? You don't even see the other people in the other cars, individuals. I'm speaking for myself, but I know it's somewhat universal. But it's just because you can be so angry at the other drivers, and I've had this happen. I've been so angry at somebody who did something that was, I thought, stupid or whatever, that dangerous. And several times I've seen that driver and I've gotten this big sort of apologetic, I'm so sorry, like they didn't mean to. And immediately my energy felt I feel like an asshole because I just blew that, because it wasn't such a big deal, right? But in the moment, that road rage or whatever kicks in. And I think, just to bring that point home, like you said, how many people having a little road rage incident, right? If it actually came to, okay, y'all settle in a duel, that when you actually look at this person, or you actually speak, I just don't think that energy holds. And I think exactly what you're saying, James, that would regulate itself down to the 1% who are really serious about it and would become more honest about exactly that rage, right? What's behind it. So what I'm saying is, as many times as I gotten frustrated at other drivers, I would guarantee you 98% of the time, if I actually just spoke to the other driver, or we actually, two things. It probably would not be, I would not be able to be so angry, just like with the internet, right? How you can anonymously write stuff on the internet and you'll be way more vile than if you actually have to own it, right? And the other aspect is the fact that a lot of times, and again, speaking just me, I will get upset about things that truly are not that big a deal in terms of when we're driving down the road. Do you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like someone's going too slow, or they didn't turn fast enough. And that, my point is, does that really qualify me getting my rage and my elevator up to, you see what I'm saying? How my reaction doesn't necessarily match.
It kind of depends on how many calories you're going into when you're driving. I was for my birthday.
Myself, right?
Yeah, we went to this neighborhood that's notoriously hard to park in, and ended up having to go to this dead end and basically back out of a street until I could find a driveway to open up and eventually turn around. But it was dark, and I was like, oh my gosh. But had I not had the calories that I just stored for a time like that, I could have been like, freaking out, or, it would have gone much worse. And, so that's why you want to store, like a little squirrel, these calories away for when you're on the road. You want to get that. You want to have your body stable. All that stuff matters. How well is your ship sailing these days will determine how well you react to a situation.
Yeah.
So I've just noticed that I've gotten more like, whoa, look at that dude. I'm just like, damn, I just hold back. I'm more just like, wow. But, I do have to be safe. I do live in a city where there's a lot of this going on, but it's almost just like everything just slows down, and, you're able to process it rather than have it process you.
Well, I was thinking about cars being like your trusty steed,
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, Tina?
I think
she's great.
I think that we should bring back jousting. If you're going to bring back duels, you might as well bring back jousting. And then it's like you take your little car and you do these like jousting things.
Yeah, you put on the attachments and you meet right in a parking lot, gravel parking lot. Yeah, I like it. That's cool.
You just go to a park and race. Just set up a race.
Yeah,
race is cool. Yeah,
let's see how fast you can go. And
I just want to. It's like I don't even necessarily think the dual thing works, but I do think that it really does come down to entitlement is really how all the birds live. There's after a while they just can't handle enough, and they're just like, look, I gotta eat this. I know you're a bigger bird, but I'm going to come here. I have to live. I have to live here.
It's funny. I had this roofer come today, and I feed my birds like black oil sunflower seeds, and I feed the squirrels too. I don't care who goes on. It's a friendly setup. Anyone can get.
It's critter for all.
It is critter for all. And the helper of the little daughter who's tiny and had to get up in the attic to look for the leak, and I was like, oh my God. So she goes, oh my God, that is the biggest squirrel I've ever seen. And I'm like, I got a fatty. Because I feed them like premium sunflower seeds. I'm like, it's abundant over here. The birds, the squirrels, everything.
Nice. This girl is living.
Yeah.
Living life large.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So did he show up? Did the squirrel show up first, Lord, to your house and tell you how entitled he was, that I'm not eating this crap, that I want the Lux Gourmet?
And they all eat together. The squirrel eats and the birds eat together. And then sometimes there's like 4 doves that are like knocking everything over. I mean, they're huge. So it's like everyone is there. And like you said, those little chickadees, they're if I'm out there, everything goes away. Like if if I'm out there a lot, they'll all come. But if I'm out there like it's cold right now, but the chickadees are always the ones that will risk it all, no matter how big anything is there. It's like that chickadee's coming in and taking that risk. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The littlest one is the bravest.
Well, like I said, someone nothing to lose, right? Someone, and that does respond. If you see someone who's totally fearless with nothing to lose, yeah. They'll fight like a cornered rabid dog, right?
It's
Do
kind
you
of
think that road rage goes for people that have they feel like impotent in life, that they get into their trusty steed and then they have, like this entitlement?
Yeah, I think it's both. It's a way of invoking your power, invoking your sense of revenge, but it's also a way of like really losing face. If you want to feel, keep in mind there's a lot of psychic benefits of losing your cool, noticing that you're acting like a fucking animal, and being embarrassed by yourself and checking yourself that this is actually a super important thing that could be necessary. And this is why I'm always talking about the furniture, because it's a lot of times people will just use other people as furniture just so they can just enact or finish something that they need to finish. Right. So it's like, I want to defend. I will wake up and I'm like, I want to fight somebody, or I wake up and I want to agree with someone, or I want to support someone. I so much of our unconscious urges are that, even if we're conscious of it, even if we pretend that we're all on top of it, we still end up acting in invisible ways that enact these same kinds of appetites, which is, I think it's just part of our calligraphy. You're constantly pruning, you're constantly pollinating. All you have to do is really just own the fact that, fuck, I'm really doing a lot here. It's just destructively and constructively. Right, and so I want to be in an authentic posture with as many calories as I can so that I'm pollinating the right things. And that's really, really tricky to do,
Exactly. And so important on Turtle Island these days. But we have arrived at another finale of the show, everyone.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us.
Great time riding, guys.
It was fun riding with y'all.
I think we solved the whole revenge of the place. I think it's done now. We've solved it. No.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. You guys have a good night. Bye.
I am trying to keep talking because I'm trying to. Okay, I'm having mouse problems. I'm trying to drag the song, and it keeps turning into, "Oh, you want to change to a new desktop?" And I'm like, "Why are you doing that? I don't want a new desktop. I just want to do this."
Hey guys, can we start a GoFundMe for James' mouse? He really needs more cheese.
I thought he really had a mouse in the house, but it was his computer mouse.
Laura, you just needed to send him some premium seeds.
Thank you, guys.
You said it yourself, this will not work if we are miles apart. Wake up alone, your fans are closed. Reach for something that you're not. Oh, you need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down. just need to calm down.